All right, what's up, fight fans, and welcome back to the KJ MMA Show. I'm Ryan Jarrell, joined by Garrett, Kerman, as always. And right now we have our guest, Steven Ocho Peterson, UFC Featherweight, coming off a fight of the night with Julian Erosa. Steven, how are you?
I'm great, man. Just living a dream, really.
Yeah, I mean, what a fight. Let's just start there. I mean, you guys went out there and put on a freaking war, and thank God it was fight of the night because that would have been a robbery if you guys didn't get that fight of the night. Where did you and your team feel you did as far as like with the judge's decision? Did you guys feel like you did enough to get the win before the judges actually rendered the decision?
I did. I thought I won the second and third round. I understand that it was close, and of course I was bleeding, so that's got to weigh on the judges' eyes. But most of that damage was just caused in the first round. Probably the last 10 seconds of the first round, I got clipped a little, and then I ate a couple shots that split my lip, and then my nose was busted. So that bled on through the second round. I remember standing up off of the stool in between the first and second round, and as soon as I stood up, blood just started gushing out of my nose. It was like, yeah, the cut man didn't get it stopped, obviously. So yeah, I started the second round, bloody mess, and then yeah, had a war. Felt like I rocked him a couple times in the second round, almost had him out of there. He landed that spinning back fist. I dropped down to a knee, popped right back up, and then I believe I rocked him again after that. So, I definitely feel like I took that second round, and then the third round, I landed the strikes. He did land a couple, but I was wobbling with that right hand, and then he got a well-timed takedown, and I feel like in the judges' eyes that might have swayed them that way. But in my defense, I felt like the takedown with the submission attempt, and then I immediately transitioned to a omoplata, so two submission attempts. That should have at least nullified that takedown. So, yeah, I definitely felt like I did enough to win, but I could see why you can argue that he won and why the judges swayed that way. I've never been a fan of the judges or, the judges kind of fighter. I'm a grimy fucking dog, and that's just the way I fight. I break a lot of people, but Julian Erosa is tough, man. He's very experienced, and I think had I had another 2 rounds, I would have been able to get him out of there.
I talked to Julian shortly after the fight. I did an interview with him. Was your nose broken? He thought that maybe your nose was broken in the first round. And how is that feeling right now?
Does it look broken?
No, it doesn't. But man, you were
No.
talking about the blood, and it was pretty extreme in there.
Yeah, and I had a lot of people ask me if my nose was broken and all that. And, it wasn't. I think it bled a lot because about 2 weeks before the fight, when I was doing some hard rounds with small gloves, I got it busted, and it was swollen at that time, and it was really kind of tender leading up to the fight. I let it heal for the week of the fight. Didn't do much contact, so it was kind of it felt all right. But as soon as I got hit, it started swelling back up. It was something that was already a little bit aggravated, and then obviously getting punched in the nose isn't going to help that.
So going into the second and the third round, after the tough start to the fight there, what were like the specific adjustments that your team wanted you to make?
Really just step in the pocket. He was really long, so I was moving a lot, trying to find my angles, and he was throwing shots from all different kind of angles. So we knew we were going to time that right hand, and then the 1-2 was money. Really just really telling me to do what we had worked on. I knew the first round was going to be the toughest of the rounds, kind of finding my range. And that was kind of the game plan, is to get my range in the first round, and then really start putting on them in the second round. And I felt like I did that just the last 10 seconds of that first round. If you watch it back, I believe it was pretty close. And then the last 10 seconds, I got clipped, and then he landed a few more shots, kind of barraged on me. So yeah, that's where a lot of that damage came from. And then after that, I felt like I implemented the game plan really well.
So this is a two-part question for you, Steven. So After this fight, I think anyone that knows the game and that watches you fight knows how much heart you have. You clearly go in there and you give it your all at every fight. But did you learn something extra about yourself, about how far you can deep dig, to stay in a fight from this one? And do you feel like the public perception out there, the fans that watch the fight, that they have a newfound respect for your overall skill set?
I've been doing this for a long time. I've been through 5-round wars where, Leandro Higo, he was piecing me up with the hands. It was before I really started focusing on my boxing, and I took a lot more damage in that fight for sure. So I know that I can dig through. I know I got that heart to go the distance. I can fight 5 rounds with anybody in the world. So it's like one of those things where just now that I'm on the world stage fighting in the UFC, there's a lot more people that get to see that and get to see what I'm capable of. And I definitely learned a lot from this fight, just about really tactical stuff that, I look back at the fight and I felt like it was a great fight and I felt like I did awesome. But there was a couple things that I could have adjusted. And there was times where I almost had him out of there, that if I would have just done something slightly different, that I would have been able to finish him. So, looking back on that, I definitely take a lot of lessons out of this fight. And, I'm going to improve going forward. I don't ever take a loss and not improve from it. I feel like everybody that's beat me, I'm now better than. I learned so much from those losses. And this is definitely one that, in the future, I go win a couple fights. I'd love to run this one back. Since it was such a great fight, why not make it fight of the night or make it the main event? And then I got 5 rounds in there to really show everybody what I'm capable of. And I think, give me another round or 2 in there with him, and I think I'll find the finish. I think I really found my own in that 2nd round and 3rd round. And, going forward, if we were to fight again, I'd find his number.
Yeah, and so when I interviewed Julian, that was one of the questions that I had for him, was a rematch would seem to make sense, especially how close and just how great that fight was between you and Erosa. And he said that there was kind of a newfound respect between you two, and I'm sure that you feel the same way after sharing the octagon with him for 15 minutes. So clearly, a rematch is something that you'd like to do. But do you agree with what he said? I mean, do you have a newfound respect for him as a fighter?
Oh, without a doubt, man. Just anybody that can take those shots and stick in there. I know a lot of guys that get TKO'd, they get clipped, they get wobbled, and then they kind of just go down, and they don't know how to stay in the fight. And just the fact that he was able to fight through it shows what's in his mind. He's not a quitter. He's he's got a lot of heart. He's a champion at mind, and I respect that greatly. Going in there and sharing blood with somebody like that is there's no way you can do that without respecting them to some degree.
No, I know you took a lot of heat for missing weight, leading up to this one. I didn't get to see what you said, after that transpired. What is the reason? Is there something that happened in the weight cut, or is it just maybe something that maybe
there's reasons, and I'm going to tell you the reason, and everybody's going to talk about how, making excuses or whatever, but there's a reason for everything. I don't want to sugarcoat it or make any excuses. Bottom line is I need to go to the Performance Institute. I got to, work with the nutrition team over there. I feel like it really just comes down to my training. I've been doing a lot more explosive training, not necessarily like weightlifting, like bodybuilding stuff, but like sprints and deadlifts and just explosive stuff that's changed my body composition from what I'm used to, because I'm walking into fight week lighter than I used to. I'm entering my cut at the end lighter than I used to. I used to cut a lot of weight down to 135, and it was like my body would let go of the water and it wouldn't fight back. And now I'm cutting much less, significantly less, and my body's fighting back. I think, maybe the week of, I got to change something. Even this week, I was feeling great going into the weight cut. I was doing sprints, I believe, the morning of the weight cut, and I feel like that was my big mistake that led to me cramping up really bad. My hamstrings, my adductors were spazzing up to the point where I barely made it to the scale, man. Like, there's been times where I've had tough weight cuts, but never like to where my muscles were cramping up so severely. So, yeah, I had to, get it together, get on the scale, and then recover enough to go to the face-offs. If I wouldn't have made it to scale, the fight wouldn't have happened. If I wouldn't have passed my physical with a doctor, normally it's right after I weigh in, but I was able to get about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, sneak away a little bit, and kind of hydrate. And even with the doctor, when I was talking to the doctor, I was cramping up. I was trying to hide it. And, at the end of the interview, he has me do a squat. And then I squat down and I'm like, I'm good. He's like, yeah. So I go back and I go to this side room and my hamstrings cramping up. And I had to call Charles Show with the UFC PI. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even made it to the fight. So shout out to Charles. He was able to help me out, get me not cramping anymore, and then get me to the face-offs. And luckily I was able to put on a poker face and not let anybody know what I was feeling inside.
So is a move to 155 in the cards at all? Is that something you're even considering?
It's definitely possible, but I look at the other featherweights, and there's a lot of bigger featherweights than me. At lightweight, that would be easy to make it, and there's a lot of fights that I'm intrigued about at lightweight. Clay Guida, just there's plenty of guys that are my size or similar size that I could fight at 155. But I feel like to really make a run, 145 is home for me. I just need to make these adjustments, and it's something that in the past I never had a problem with it. Like I know in the telecast or on ESPN, Paul Felder was like, you've been fighting 19-9 and you're just now talking about getting help. And I'm like, well, I've been doing it by myself since I was 17 years old. And, I've had nutritionists talk to me and whatnot, but I used to cut weight in the bathtub by myself. Like I'd tell my girlfriend or my wife at the time, like, hey, check on me. And it was like they didn't really even know what I was going through. So I would do that on my own. And now at this point, it's become an issue twice in a row when it's never been an issue before. So obviously I got to go get some professional help because, you do the same thing, 3 times in a row, expecting a different result. That's insanity. And I'm not insane. I might be crazy, but I'm not insane. I'm going to go, get the proper help and advice. And, it's available with the UFC PI team, and they're going to do a body composition scan. And, I'll get it all down to a science to where it's not going to be an issue going forward, because I learned a hard lesson with this fight, and I can't let that happen again.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how much it stung to lose out on that, fight of the night bonus money. That's a good chunk of change, man. I just want to ask you this too. Like, what typically do you walk around at during fight camp? Can you give me like a weight range as to how big you normally are?
Yeah, anywhere around 165 to 170. Generally, at the beginning of my camp, I'm about 165, and then as I go through my camp, I start to put on muscle because of the explosive training that I'm doing, and just training and trying to keep up with eating and recovering. So that's just something I'm going to have to change a little bit is how I tailor my camp, not putting on any muscle and rather cutting down early, because I weighed myself this morning and I was 165. It's like I was 165 fight week. I haven't gained any weight since being off, and but I'm also not doing any explosive training. I've been taking it down a notch. So I feel like that's what it comes down to, is just changing up my programming and tweaking the diet a little bit.
It seems like with this fight in particular, Steven, that maybe it's really helped you evolve mentally as a professional, as a mixed martial artist. I mean, clearly you're already at that level, at the highest level of the sport, but this loss in particular, and losing out on such a good amount of money with the bonus there, it seems like maybe your mindset is adjusting or shifting. Am I right?
Oh, for sure. I've always been the guy that I hate asking for help. I like to do everything. I'm independent. I moved out when I was 17 and got in trouble. Ended up having to move back in. I've always had to learn these lessons because, I guess they call it pride, and it's something that I gotta work on. Is asking for help when I need help. So, obviously this is something that I need help with. So I gotta, be humble and go to the PI and get the help that I need because I know I can make 145. I've been doing 35 and 45 my whole career. It's like just one of those things where, you got to take it for what it is. I got to learn from it. And hey, I gave a blessing to Julian. It's probably his biggest payday of his career. And now I can look at it like that. I'm going to go out there and bang every time. I'm the money fight. These guys are going to make a payday fighting me if we get fight of the night. So if they're willing to go out there and throw down, it's going to be a good payday for anybody that steps in there for me. So it's about time I get paid, right?
Absolutely. And I love that answer too, man. I think anybody that even could think about giving you a hard time about missing weight again, all they have to do is listen to what you said right there. And they definitely would have to empathize with you and realize that you're looking at things the right way. When is a time frame that we can see you back in there next? Do you have like a certain month that you're thinking about?
I mean, I'm healthy. I'd like to get back in there soon, maybe in the next 2-3 months, definitely by summer. I want to be active this year. I definitely got to, get back on the right track. And I want to do that pretty quickly because, I felt great in there. I had fun. I enjoy what I do. And I'm ready, like I'm coming into my prime. And I just, slight adjustments. Like right now, 165, I can, take a fight in 2 weeks notice and I should no problem making it. Right. I showed up on fight week and I was heavier than 165. So, being light, I just need to, do more road work, I guess, more long duration runs and less sprint and explosive stuff. So something that I'm going to do immediately and, be ready to take something on short notice, get back in there, back in the win column, put together a streak, and then throw out that main event. I think that's that's the fight to make. I just got to go in there and get back on the right track.
All right. So if you're not getting Erosa next, give me a name. Who would you like?
Yeah, I don't think I'll get Erosa next. I think obviously they want me to go in there and get back on the right track. So I don't know. Nate Landwehr, the train. I called him out before. I feel like that's a great fight for me. I don't have a lot of respect for the guy. I think he's pretty arrogant, and I want to go in there and put some hands on his face and take him out.
How does that fight end? Do you finish him?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Guy's wild. He's going to try and get the haymaker. I'm going to make him miss and then make him pay.
I love it. Yeah, sign me up. I love that. Ocho and Landwehr, perfect fight. Garrett, do you have anything for Steven?
What I really want to know is because I saw you kind of jawing with Julian Erosa at the face-offs. I was wondering, like, what were you saying to him during that time?
Yeah, I was like, "You got something to say?" I was like, "Say it now." And then he was like, "What?" And I was like, "What?" Like, it was kind of like a little awkward because it was all improv. We were just it was pretty tense. So it was like, "What?" And then he was like 3 pounds, and I was like, and then he said, "You can't beat me. You can't even beat yourself." And then I was like, he kind of had me like, does that make sense? Like, I get what you're going for, but it was kind of an awkward, funny moment. I feel like both of us walked away from that feeling like, did I get the better of, it was one of those things where, I don't think either of us felt like we got the better of each other in that exchange.
Well, one thing's for certain, man. That was such a fun fight to watch. I was pacing around my man cave, screaming at the TV because I was so pumped about watching you guys in there throwing down. We do want to get your take on UFC 271. That happened obviously this past weekend. I'm sure you watched it. I know you're
I was
a
there.
fight
I was
fan.
there, man. I was there
Yeah.
live. Yeah, they brought me up to the VIP fan experience and got to shake a bunch of hands. Kind of a little line formed. I was like, "Hey, man, this is what it's all about. Is engaging with the fans, and that's why we have a job." So I enjoy that the fans are starting to take notice and they love the way I fight, and I'm going to keep doing that and keep engaging with the fans, keep blowing it up. So yeah, I had a good time at UFC 271.
Absolutely. So get your judging on. How would you have scored that main event with Whitaker and Adesanya?
I had it 3-2 for Adesanya. I thought Whitaker did really good about timing the takedowns and stuff, but he didn't do much with it. Adesanya fought really, I guess you would say, smart, but tactically. He didn't really fight. He just kind of avoided the fight and outpointed Whitaker. So, I'd say he won based off, judging standards. Definitely not the fight I wanted to see.
So it looks like Cannonier is next after beating Blonde Brunson there on the main card. So he's all but certain to be the next title challenger. Does he have a chance against Adesanya, or is he just going to run right through him?
I think he definitely has a chance. I mean, he's super explosive, powerful dude. And it's something new for Izzy. It's a new opponent that he might have fought him in the back in the day, but I think he fought Brunson, right? Something like that. So I feel like it'll be an interesting matchup. But Adesanya, if he fights the way he fought Whitaker, he shouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, he's gonna make him miss and outpoint him. Maybe find that one shot that he looks for. He looks for that one shot knockout. So. If Cannonier's not tactical and tight with his hands, he's going to get caught missing. And it's an interesting matchup for sure.
Does a third fight with Whitaker and Adesanya make sense? Like, I know Bobby Knuckles has to go and win another fight or two, but with how close that second fight is, do you feel like Robert Whitaker should get another shot at Adesanya?
It was close, but it wasn't exciting, and that's why they do rematches. So it really doesn't make sense to run it back unless Whitaker makes a really strong case. Say he goes out there and knocks out a couple guys, or really gets a few finishes, then maybe. But other than that, I don't think it's a fight many people want to see.
I know the another thing that I wanted to make sure I asked you. Okay, prime Israel Adesanya versus prime Anderson Silva. Because right now, Adesanya is chasing the GOAT status of Silva, at 185, right? And I don't know what he's got to do to catch him. I think he's just got to keep defending the title until he, matches how many title defenses Silva had. But who wins that one?
I think definitely prime Silva. Prime Silva had the jiu-jitsu. He had the, matrix-style speed. He's done way more. He's done way more in the sport than Israel. Israel's he is the new breed, but when he beat Anderson Silva was way past his prime. I believe when Silva was reigning champion, that guy beats just about anybody in the world.
Okay. Garrett, I'm sure you have a question for Ocho after UFC 271. That was a hell of a card.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great fight. I was excited, for the entirety of it. I mean, other than, what you took away, but this is what I want to start with. Who was your toughest opponent throughout your time in the UFC? That's kind of what I want to know from a fan perspective, because I come for a different cloth here. I'm a very big fan of the sport, and I want to know from you, who do you think right now was your toughest opponent in the UFC?
In the UFC, it was Erosa for sure. Without a doubt, he was down to bang. He wasn't. He's not one of those guys that's going to run away and try to outpoint you. He was in there trying to take me out, and that's what I like. When I'm in there fighting, I want the other guy to be fighting me, not trying to avoid the fight. That's just no fun. It's annoying. and that's not what we're here for. We're here to fight. So, yeah, that was my funnest fight and my toughest fight in the UFC for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, again, what a fight it was. I can't wait till they rematch it. Hopefully it's before 2022 comes to an end. I know the fans would love to see it. Ocho, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Make sure you let me know when you do, you're getting ready to book your next one, because we definitely want to bring you back on here. Before we let you go, Garrett, anything else?
On my end, man, I appreciate you coming on, and joining us as always. We definitely got to get you back on here as soon as possible.
Yeah, no doubt. I should fight pretty soon. I'll keep you guys posted. Hopefully it'll be something short notice where I can step up, do the UFC a favor and fill a spot. Yeah, man, I want to thank my team, Fortis MMA, all my training partners. I want to thank Coach Safe. I want to thank my sponsors, Hutchins Barbecue, New Lifespan, Tenfold, Dank Vodka, Limitless Sport Picks, CWL.law, Chandler Cabinets, Door to Door Shuttle, Texas Solar Brokers, iCryo, Elevate Locating, and Rami Raw Meal Prep. I appreciate you guys. I couldn't do it without you. And, there's a lot more where that came from.
You see, that's how you get sponsorships right there. That's a true professional. He has it right there, so he could name every last one of them. That is smart, Ocho.
Right.
That's impressive. Definitely impressive.
Hey, man, I can't be missing sponsors. Then they're going to be missing checks. You know what I'm saying? So, I do my job, and then they'll come through, and they'll continue to support me. So, yeah, always give your sponsors love, and give them some fucking swag. If you got sponsors, hook them up with the swag. Don't they're paying you, but they want that in return. They want that FaceTime. Go show your sponsors some love.
Awesome, man. Thanks again, Ocho. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
And my pleasure. Y'all have a good one.
You too, man.
You too, man.
Bye.
All right. Awesome having Steven Ocho Peterson back on the show. And again, man, what a fight that was. I honestly didn't know who was going to win the fight. I kept going back and forth. I rewatched it. I can see it for Ocho. I can see it for Erosa. Either way, a split decision I think makes sense. But I loved his perspective, and it was so great to have him back on. And it looks like he might be back in there soon. So that's exciting for the fight fans.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I love watching him fight because, like he was talking about, he's a fighter. He comes to fight. He's not trying to outpoint, win by a decision. He comes to throw down, and that's why he puts on exciting fights no matter who is in there with him. Even if he's going against somebody that's, trying to grapple with him, even if it's somebody that's just trying to go in there and, run away from him, he's going to come in there and he's going to throw down and put on a fight. And he did that with Julian Erosa. He even said that Erosa was, his toughest fight in his UFC career. So, he's just one of those guys that's always going to be exciting. And I can't wait to see him back in there. I can't wait to get back on the show. So, I'm definitely looking forward to, what's next for him.
Yeah. When we share this, we'll have to make sure that we talk about that Landwehr matchup that he wants, because that is a fight that I know the fans would love to see. Landwehr comes forward, man. And with Ocho and how his style and how he likes to stand and trade, that is another fan-friendly fight that everyone's going to love. So, again, thank you, Steven, for joining us again, and look forward to having you back on the program again down the line. All right. We already talked about UFC 271 with him. So UFC Vegas 48 is this Saturday, and we're going to dive into our best bets. And, you're the fight analyst, Garrett, so I'm just going to pass it along to you, and you can get us started with what you're thinking about this Saturday.
All right, so it's not the best, fight card for betting perspective. A lot of wonky lines, a lot of juice across the board. So, I try my best to find, fights where I see some type of value. I see a line that's not -2, -3, -400. I try to get it a little lower than that, do some research, do the tape study, and see if I can find a clear winner of one of the two. One of those fights, I got like a couple. I'll start with Jessica Rose Clark. I think she should be higher than a -180 favorite right now. And I think the comeback on Stephanie Egger is +155 underdog. Egger looked good in the last fight, but that was against Shayna Young, someone who's very inexperienced, not as well versed as Clark. Clark's going to bring the fight to her. She's the far, far, far better striker on the feet. I mean, it's night and day. I mean, Egger, she's a judoka. She's very good in the clinch. She uses a lot of, hip tosses. She's very good in her grappling. She's very good on the mat. I think she's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. She's done a ton of jiu-jitsu tournaments as well. So she's very well versed there. I just think Clark has good enough takedown defense to keep the fight on the feet and just absolutely beat her from start to finish at that point, because Egger really doesn't, pose much of a threat on the feet. So Clark should be able to go in there, land her strikes, stay on the outside, and win a clear-cut decision. And her decision prop is plus 130. I think you're getting good value there. And she should get it done. I mean, she's riding a 2-fight win streak since coming back up to bantamweight, and she's arguably looked the best she's ever looked, physically, mentally, and just her all-around game. I think she's finally hitting her stride, and I think she gets another win here. And plus, I mean, Egger, she's still fairly new to the sport. She's only, I believe, 6-1. So, and Clark's been in there with some of the best. Is Egger one of those? I don't believe so. So yeah, I'm taking Clark at minus 180, and the next one is a sophomore fighter, a guy that went in there in his debut and absolutely threw down on short notice against Mason Jones, and that's David Onama. I'm taking a minus 150. I know I've seen some people on the fence about this fight, and I see a lot of love on the Onama side, and and rightfully so. I mean, the guy came in there on short notice, up a weight class against, a savage in Mason Jones, went toe-to-toe with him, went the distance with him, showed that he's got heart, showed that he's got a chin, showed that he's got power. And, Mason Jones had a result of taking down 8 times to win that fight. Mason Jones, he's bread and butter. He's going in there and just standing and trading. He realized he couldn't do that because he wasn't getting him out of there. So he had to take him down. He had to control him, and get the win that way. Now he's coming back down to his natural weight class, 145 pounds, and he's absolutely massive. He's going to be much bigger than Benitez. I think he's about 3 inches taller than him with a 3-inch reach advantage as well. I do think packs much more of a punch than Benitez does. Benitez is very good, don't get me wrong, but where he lacks is in the power, and he doesn't control the octagon as well as he should. He lets his opponents dictate the pace and the pressure of the fight. They normally are able to walk him down at will, and this is a guy that needs, his space. He needs to use his kicks to keep the fight at distance. Well, he's going to be on his bike this entire fight, and we know he doesn't do well with pressure. Sadiq Youssef, knocked him out with pressure. Billy Quarantillo, he absolutely drowned him with pressure. Omar Morales was pressing forward, landing the much harder, much bigger shots in that fight as well. And we know Benitez gets finished in his fights. 3 of his 5 losses in the UFC have been by finish. And if Onama was, has the right game plan, he has very good wrestling. And I believe he's like a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. He should be able to take down Benitez rather easily. Benitez doesn't have great takedown defense. We've seen it time and time again that he's been able to get taken down and controlled. We saw that in the Billy Q fight as well. So I just think there's more ways for Onama to win this fight than there is Benitez. Benitez literally has to be on his bike, throwing kicks for 15 minutes and fight the perfect fight to win this. Whereas Onama can knock you out, he can take you down and submit you. All 8 of his wins have come inside the distance, 5 by knockout, 3 by submission. The dude's a stud. I think, sky's the limit for him. And Mowgli just doesn't have it anymore. He's 1-3 in his last 4. His only win is against Justin James. He has 0 wins in the UFC against current UFC fighters. 0. There's not a single fighter that he has on his resume in the UFC that's currently on the roster. So that, needless to say, that he tends to lose against good competition, yes, but he doesn't beat good competition either. So I'm taking David Onama here, and I'm minus 150. I think we're going to get a good line as well. So who do you got on this card?
First of all, I love David Onama, so I think you're spot on that one right there. Someone that stands out to me, and again, this might sound like a homer pick because he was our first guest of our KJ MMA show. But, the fact of the matter is Kyle Dawkins is the real deal. Like, don't get it twisted. This guy, and he's a kid. He's not even 30 right now. I don't know if he's 27, 28, something like that. I mean, he's so well-rounded. He's so long for the division. And this matchup with Jamie Pickett, I just love it. I feel like it's tailor-made for Dawkins to get an impressive finish. I envision it going to the ground, and I envision him getting a submission maybe in the second round of this one. But Kyle Dawkins, he's someone that, and again, this is the co-main event, I don't feel like gets enough respect. He's 10-2 in his professional career, and he's just got into the UFC. His debut fight was against Brendan Allen on short notice, and Brendan Allen is another guy that's an absolute stud.
He almost beat him too, no less.
Exactly. He almost beat Brendan Allen, and I think Brendan Allen's trajectory is going to continue to go up and up and up. I think he's had a couple of losses, and I think he'll correct it. But when you look at that loss that he had to Phil Hawes, I think he grew from that. I think that Kyle Dawkins is a better fighter. I think you saw it in that Kevin Holland fight. Unfortunately, the way that it ended, I mean, that just sucks for everyone. But I think you're going to see a dialed-in, focused Kyle Dawkins in this fight. And he's what, minus 280? So he's a big favorite. You're not going to win a whole lot of money betting on him. But as you know, I like to bet DraftKings, and he's someone that I love sliding into a lineup there. So I'm really high on Dawkins. I'm going to give you an underdog, and you might disagree with me. I think actually you're going to disagree with me, but hear me out. I like Johnny Walker in the main event. I think he might get it done against Jamal Hill. Now, Johnny Walker, he's had some L's, but when you look at who he's lost to, I mean, his losses are to like the elite of the elite, Thiago Santos, Corey Anderson. I mean, Nikita Krylov is pretty damn good. So, I mean, those are losses that I think make, I don't want to say make sense, but I feel like his level of competition is higher than Jamal Hill's. Hill is so new. He's 9-1 as a pro, and granted, he looks the part. You know, he had that loss to Paul Craig. He comes back with a big win over Jimmy Crute, who's extremely tough. But this might be a situation where I feel like Johnny Walker, he needs it more than Hill. Hill he's younger. He's going to be around longer. And I just call it a gut feeling. I just think you're going to see the best version of Johnny Walker. And he's out there training in Ireland with John Kavanagh. He's been there for 3 years now training, and he loves it. I heard an interview with him recently. He seems, very focused leading into this fight, and I think he's going to spring the upset. He's a plus 195 dog. I'm just going with my gut feeling on this one. I think the more veteran fighter is going to find a way to get it done. What do you think about that one?
I mean, that makes sense, especially given the line. I think they put a lot of stock into that last win for Hill, which is why his line is where it's at in -40. Plus, Johnny Walker, he hasn't been doing great. 1-3 in his last 4, I believe, something around that. I wouldn't like to lay the juice on Hill just because it's a really high, profile fight. It's a really close fight, and Walker can knock you out at any given time. So laying the juice on Hill, not ideal. I feel like, and even, taking Hill by knockout -150, how many times has Walker been knocked out? He's only been knocked out once in the UFC, and that was against Corey Anderson, if I'm not mistaken. And that was pretty much it. Other than that, he's been able to hang in there. I know Thiago Santos wasn't really trying to headhunt and really knock him out, but he did land some punches, and he was able to weather, whatever Santos was throwing at him. So he could potentially weather the early storm of Hill, drag him into deep waters, and possibly, end him there. But I feel like this is not going to make it to round 3. I feel like someone's going down within 2 rounds. I don't know if it's Hill. I don't know if it's Walker. I'm staying away personally, but taking Walker at plus 195, that's not a bad bet. Even taking Walker by knockout, which is probably how he's going to win, would be plus 300.
Yeah. No, so I'm glad that you're seeing my point of view on that one. I'll tell you a fight that I'm staying the heck away from. I think someone's getting knocked out in this one. I just don't know who it's going to be, and that's Joaquin Buckley and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Both of these guys are monsters, and they got a ton of power, and they love knocking you out. One of them's going to sleep. I feel like their skill sets are kind of similar. I just don't know who it is that's going to get the W here. When you look at this fight, Garrett, give me your prediction here on who's going to get the W here.
It's tough because they're pretty much kind of the same fighter if you really look at it. They both come in there, they come to throw down. They both got insane power. They're both, jacked beyond belief. I just think, Buckley's just a little bit better. I think he's a little faster. I think he's a little cleaner. And I do think he could potentially take down El Hassan if he wants to. It's there. He has the takedown abilities. He has multiple takedowns in the UFC. And Al Hassan definitely has not bad takedown defense, but definitely not good takedown defense. So the path is there. And Buckley obviously has power. But we'll see. It only going to take one punch from Al Hassan to really get the win. So that's one fight I'm definitely going to stay away from. But I do have one underdog. I want to get your take on it because I know, he's still fairly new. It's only his second fight in the UFC. He hasn't fought in quite some time, and that's Mark Striegel against plus 170 over Chad Skelly. There's so many question marks surrounding Chad Skelly. He's talking about this is his last fight. It's his retirement fight. This man hasn't fought in almost 3 years. He's coming off nagging injuries his entire career. He's had surgery before coming into this fight. And he's going against a guy that, yes, he lost his debut fight. It was against Said Nurmagomedov, and that's progressing well. He's been doing very well, so that's no fault there. And the dude's absolutely chiseled beyond belief. The dude's in impeccable shape. There's no injuries. There's nothing surrounding his physical attributes to where I think he won't be able to, make it the whole 15 minutes. I think he's going to be in a much better shape. I think he's the much better striker. He's much faster than Skelly. Skelly, what he's going to want to do, take him down, grind him out, potentially get a submission victory. Well, Striegel's also very good on the mat. He's got 14 wins via submission. And he normally, I think he does combat sambo or some type of sambo competitions as well. He's very good with his grappling. I feel Striegel's going to make Skelly work early. He's going to make him work in the early goings, and we're going to see Skelly fade as he normally does. He faded in the Griffin fight in the third round. He was getting touched up. If Griffin had any ounce of takedown defense, he would have finished him on the feet, and I could see a potential round 3 finish, from Striegel here. He has, like I said, 14 of his wins are by submission. He can potentially get a club and sub. He can potentially, catch him in in a scramble. I just think, Striegel, he has the higher ceiling right now. And then, Skelly at 36 years old, there's so many different question marks surrounding him. I know what he's capable of at his peak, but we don't know what he's capable of at his worst. At his worst was, Jordan Griffin. And he almost got finished there. He's been finished numerous times in his career. So would I be surprised if it happens again? Absolutely not. I think Striegel gets it done. And plus 170 to fade, and an aging fighter, a guy that's ready to go out anyways. He's fighting at the last fight of his contract because he pretty much has to, and he wants to get his last paycheck before he calls it quits. I always love fading that type of scenario at plus money, especially almost plus 200. Even if he loses, I'll take the L on the chin, but I know I went in there with a ton of value on a plus 170 underdog against a guy that's on his last leg. He's got, all those injuries, and I'll take it.
Well, this fight is the great unknown to me. So, I think you're going out on a limb with this one because we don't really know a whole heck of a lot about Striegel. He hasn't been in the UFC that long, and Skelly's been out for, 2.5, 3 years almost, so we don't know what he's going to look like at this point. He could be a completely different fighter. So right. This to me is a fight that I'm staying the heck away from. I'm not betting on this one. No way, no how. Yeah, I wouldn't even feel comfortable to put either one of these in a DraftKings lineup because I just don't know. I just don't know. I think you got a coin and you're flipping it, and you just it's going to be heads or tails, and it's going to be Striegel or Skelly. So that's the intriguing part, and who knows? We could see a reinvented version of Chaz Skelly, and maybe he's going to be around for a little while longer. I mean, probably not, but you just don't know.
Right.
That's why they go in there and get it on. But Striegel definitely looks the part, and they both have the exact same record of 18-3. So good matchmaking by the UFC for this one. Intrigued to see what happens, but again, I'm staying away from that matchup. But yeah, as you mentioned earlier too, Garrett, like kind of a lackluster card, not a whole heck of a lot on there. I'll just say one other thing here. A fight that I'm looking forward to that's on the main card is Jim Miller and Nicholas Mota. I don't know if you remember Mota from Contender Series, but he's a young upstart Brazilian who's now training in New Jersey. Very, very tough kid. And obviously the veteran Jim Miller, who doesn't like watching him fight. So that's a fight I have circled as potential fight of the night because I think that's going to be a stand-up war, and they're just going to be throwing down. So really intrigued about that one, just as a fan-friendly fight. But all in all,
who do you have winning that fight, though?
I would probably lean towards the younger Mota to get it done, but I would not be surprised at all if the veteran Jim Miller gets the W there. He finds a way to win. This is one of those fights that I think we're going to learn more about Mota than we will about Miller. We already know who Jim Miller is. He's been around he's 33-16 for crying out loud. Like we have enough tape on him. Mota, he's the young kid that we're trying to figure out what's his ceiling. This is a big fight for him. He needs to go in there, stick to whatever his team's game plan is, and beat this veteran. Because Jim Miller's on the tail end of his career. His trajectory isn't going up; it's definitely going down at this point. So, big fight for Mota and for Miller, staying relevant, staying in the UFC is, I'm sure, what he wants to do. So he wants to obviously notch another win. So that's a fight I'm really looking forward to. Jonathan Pierce, JSP, he's the biggest favorite on the card, I believe, going up against Christian Rodriguez, who's 7-0. So that right there could be someone that, again, if you're looking to slide someone into your DraftKings lineup, JSP, biggest favorite on the card against a young kid making his UFC debut. But all in all, decent night of fights. I'm happy that we're getting some fights, here on Saturday. We're back to regular UFC cards, which is what we all want.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We have a lot of fights, coming up, which is great. It's just like nonstop. And we even got Bellator 274 this week. We got Bellator next week as well. So we got a lot of fights coming up. And then we even have the PFL. It's basically like the Contender Series for PFL on Friday. So, we got a stacked weekend of fights. I'm really looking forward to, diving in, watching a whole lot of fights, and just vegging out, just relaxing, and just having a great night, of watching some fist fights.
Yes, sir. And next week, it looks like we'll be back with UFC fighter Ashley Yoder on the show. So I'll confirm that soon, but I believe that will be our guest next show. That will be episode 11, right?
Episode 11. We're episode 10, man. 10 episodes in. Thanks to everybody that's out there watching, but, we appreciate you. We are doing this for you, and, we just love to do this. We love talking about fights. We love having on these fighters to talk about, their lives and what they go through and how the fights are going and all that good stuff. We try to bring you as much content and great content as we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. So another great show, Garrett. Again, thank you to Steven Ocho Peterson for your time, and we will see you guys next week.
Hey.